Alright guys, in today's video we are going to be continuing the upgrades that we started in the last video to this ThinkPad T60, and we're going to bank it into a FrankenPad T601, or what I consider to be the ultimate retro ThinkPad. We have all of the benefits of a beautiful FlexView display, and in this video we're going to be putting in some newer, faster architecture. In the last video we upgraded the display. So why exactly do we have to upgrade the motherboard in this system? What's wrong with the T60 motherboard? The ThinkPad T60 is still a fairly usable system, but it does have a lot of limitations. The biggest of which is that it's limited to using only 3 GB of RAM, even though it recognizes 4 GB. The T61 addresses this and also brings a lot of other improvements to the table. It has newer, faster processors and graphics, can use more RAM, and through the use of the Middleton's BIOS, a lot more upgrades can be unlocked, such as faster drive speeds, newer and faster wireless cards, faster processors, and up to 8 GB of RAM. So just hop on eBay, get any old T61 motherboard and pop it in, right? I wish. Unfortunately, there was a different motherboard made for each different type of screen on the T61. A 14-inch 4x3 screen, a 14-inch widescreen display, and a 15-inch widescreen display. Only the 14-inch 4x3 ThinkPad T61 motherboard will work in the T60. The others won't fit properly, and well, we want everything to fit, so the answer is pretty obvious. So we've narrowed things down a bit here, but now we have to get even more specific. The T61 was not exactly known for being a reliable system, but this wasn't to the fault of Lenovo. NVIDIA released new mobile graphics cards that were used in a lot of laptops in 2007. And unfortunately, there was a very fatal design flaw in these graphics cards. Basically, NVIDIA used a low-quality bonding agent in the GPU die, which would cause the graphics card to eventually fail from normal use. This affected a lot of laptops around the time period that were using NVIDIA GPUs, including the T61, as well as Dell Latitudes, HP ProBooks, and even MacBook Pros. You could send your T61 into Lenovo and they would replace the motherboard. These motherboard replacements had revised graphics cards that wouldn't fail. Lenovo also introduced these revised motherboards into their supply stream towards the very end of T61's production. ThinkPad T61s made during the month or after August of 2008 are considered to be safe systems. And if you're not sure, you can also look at the date code on the GPU die itself. But if you want to make things easy, there is a way that you can get the correct motherboard for FrankenPadding and know that it's going to work. The Boardroom is a website that specializes in ThinkPad modifications. They're the same website that offer modified ribbon cables and inverters for using those LED displays that we talked about in the last video in the T60. They also sell both certified refurbished and new old stock 4x3 T61 motherboards. You can get a certified refurbished board for $100, and if you want to get a brand new board, you can buy it for $140. Yes, these prices aren't exactly cheap, but considering the LED FlexView display we used in the last video costs over $200, you're probably not getting a good price to performance ratio on this system anyway, and if you're putting this system together, you know that. Your other option, of course, is to get a T61 motherboard that only has Intel Graphics Media Accelerator on it, and no dedicated GPU. These are pretty much immune to the GPU failure since they don't have a dedicated GPU. You're going to need to get a few other things in order to guarantee that your system will work when you put it back together. The T60 and T61 use different heatsinks, so you're going to want to get either a T61 or a T/W500 heatsink for the system. If you try to use the original T60 heatsink with this board, it will not cool the GPU properly, and we don't want that. You're also going to need to replace the express card and PC card cage, as it uses a different slot than the T60 motherboards does. You will also need to get a processor that works with the T61, as you will find that the T61 used different processors from the T60. Your RAM and your wireless card should carry over just fine. As far as I know, any wireless card that works with the T60 will work with the T61. As you take the system apart, I should also note that you're going to have to remove a few standoffs in the T60's roll cage in order for the T61 motherboard to fit properly. Thankfully, Reddit user stay_spooky actually provided me with a T60 roll cage that already had the necessary standoffs removed. This really helped me because I don't have a Dremel or any other tool to remove the standoffs myself. Taking apart the T60 is a fairly straightforward process. Just make sure to remove the battery and the power adapter before doing so. The T60 service manual is readily available online, and I recommend following this as you take the T60 apart and put it back together, so you don't lose track of all the screws and where anything needs to go. When you put the T60 back together with the T61 motherboard, you're going to find that a few screws will not need to be put back in since we removed the standoffs for them, and you won't be able to use the original modem with the system. But in this day and age, I highly doubt anyone is going to be using the modem, so that's not a huge loss. Unfortunately, I lost the footage of me putting in the T500 heatsink I got, but the only thing I need to note about this is that the copper fins in the top left corner of the fan assembly will need to be bent back in order to fit properly in the T60 chassis. For the time being, I'm putting a Core 2 Duo T7300 in here. I do intend on upgrading this processor later. For now, I'm just going to be using 4GB of RAM and a 240GB solid-state drive. I brought over my 802.11n wireless card that I put in my T60 in the video I made last year about using that laptop in 2018. And, well, with everything back together and a quick smoke test, we now have a working FrankenPad T601. Even though the T7300 is not the most powerful Core 2 Duo, it did provide a noticeable performance boost over the last processor. The NVIDIA NVS 140M graphics also give a huge improvement over the older ATI Radeon graphics that were found on the T60. The T60 motherboard I had actually didn't even have ATI graphics, only Intel GMA, so the performance boost is especially noticeable here. So for the time being, I have a really nice laptop for school. The 4:3 aspect ratio is perfect for note-taking, and the T60 has one of the best laptop keyboards I've ever used. I think it's actually a little bit better than the classic keyboard I put into my X230, but I still love my X230, it's a great machine too. So in the next video, which when that comes out will depend on when I get the parts I need, we are going to be installing the Middleton's BIOS on this system, so that we can upgrade the RAM, the processor, and the wireless card. I will also be demonstrating the improvements we can get out of this hardware through the use of the ThinkPad Advanced Dock, which adds a full-sized desktop PCI Express slot to this system, giving us a whole new world of expandability. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for my next video on this laptop whenever that happens.